Hey everyone, it's Leanne. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about dip pens, which is sort of new to me, but I've been exploring them a little bit and I wanted to just kind of do a video and share my knowledge and see if anyone else was interested in them as well and what your thoughts are on dip pens. So these appeared to me a few weeks ago in suggested videos on YouTube for me, and so I started exploring them, and the more I looked into them, I found out that there are a few different types of dip pens, but there's also a glass dip pen. And when I looked at that, I thought, oh my gosh, I have one of those. I can't believe it. And so I went and I dug it out, and sure enough, I have a glass dip pen. That's what this is here. So a few years ago, I was downtown at a novelty store in the town that I live in, and I picked this up because I thought it was beautiful. I knew it was a pen. I thought it was sort of like a gimmicky thing, but I thought it was really pretty, so it was an impulse purchase, and I just had it sit on my desk for a few years and just look pretty. And then last year, I cleaned up my art room and sort of transitioned over into more card making, and so I tucked this away until the other day when I was watching a video and realized that this is actually a pen. It has a function and a purpose, and it's not just a toy, it actually does something other than be pretty. So I thought that was really exciting. And so I want to talk a little bit about dip pens and specifically about this type. So the other types I have seen have specific metal nibs that you buy individually, and they're separate, and then you buy a base. And the base looks like the end of a paintbrush. And so you attach your nib to your base, and you can switch out your nibs, and it also holds ink into the nib itself. It doesn't hold a lot. Usually with dip pens you can write a few sentences and then you have to dip into the ink again. Now with the metal nibs that you can buy, you can get ones that have firm broad strokes that create really sharp angular strokes and letter forms. And then you can get ones that have split tines at the end, and the more you press down on those tines, they split apart and release more ink onto the paper, and that way you can make thick and thin strokes. And you can get those tines in different widths, so you can do real super fine strokes or thick strokes as well, and you can get a variance of pressure that you can apply to the tines. They split bigger, that sort of thing. And then there is glass dip pens. Now these are the cheaper variety. The metal nibs cost a bit more to invest in. These generally range for about $30. So they're pretty inexpensive, and a few years ago that's what I paid for this as well. So the price hasn't really changed. They're made of blown glass, and they're a single unit. They're comprised of a nib that has grooves that hold the ink, and then it has a glass stopper of some sort, and then the base. Now mine came with a little resting dock here, and so I haven't seen a lot of glass dip pens that come with this base too. So this is sort of an added bonus, but it is a possibility. Now to get started with dip pens, you'll need your dip pen, of course, and then you'll need some ink. I picked this up at my local craft store. It's Indian ink, and it's light fast, good for sketching and calligraphy, and it was relatively inexpensive. I paid about $5 for this. If you're going to get a more expensive professional ink, I've seen bottles up to $30-ish, and they come in a variety of colors. You can get pretty much any color under the rainbow, and I've even seen gold, metallic, silver, and it's incredible. The colors are so beautiful, and there's so many different ones to choose from. I haven't really explored inks yet. This was my test ink, and it works good. It's an Indian ink, just basic ink. Now, if you're getting ink for a dip pen, you want to make sure that it says on the back that it is for dip pens. Because if you do not, and you just get a regular calligraphy ink, it may be too thin, and it may not sit in the grooves. It may run out and blot on your paper. And then you just need a cup of water. I have my little water glass here with my cow on it that I use for watercolor. And they clean up super easy. So I'll just do a little demonstration. Now I thought, before I start with these, I thought that this would be a nice personal touch to add into greeting cards. And so you could either use it to decorate a sentiment on the front, or you could use it to write a personal note inside the card, or to address an envelope as well. Now, I've also read online that if you're having trouble with the tip of your pen, You can buff it with a block. I think there's a buffing block you can get, or a really fine sandpaper, to just buff down that glass. So you dip it in the ink and then just hit it to the sides a bit, because it does all gather at that point, just releasing a little bit of that bubble. And then you write. It's super pretty. And I thought that this gave a nice way to add that personal touch. And it just looks so pretty. It looks pretty when it dries. You can just do regular handwriting. You could do calligraphy. You could look at doing embellishments. I had a little blot there, so it was a little heavy at the beginning. And you can see as you go it gets thinner, and so you can decide when you need to add more ink, or when you think that it's at a nice even flow. But it does write really beautifully, and I just love sort of the scratchy edges that it creates. It's not very polished and smooth. It feels very rough and rustic and raw, and it's really kind of a, you know, an old tradition. Like back in the day, this is how you wrote with ink. You dipped it in an inkwell and you wrote a few characters, and then you kept dipping and away you go. So it really sort of gives that nostalgic feel, and you know, it feels very personal too, because it is your handwriting, and it has your character and flourishes, and it's very personal. It's a nice way to, I think, address a greeting card or add embellishments and that sort of thing. I remember in graphic design we had to use Indian ink, and we used it for sketching. We had tech pens that we would use it for. And so Indian ink can be sort of sticky if you let it dry and you don't clean it up. But you can easily take a toothbrush and just run it along the nib. So if it gets a little sticky, then you can just scrape it with a toothbrush, a soft toothbrush, or a scrubbing brush that you might have, a kitchen brush, and it'll come clean. I'll just try rinsing it here and show you. This will probably stick a little bit because I haven't rinsed it recently. But I just run it in the water, and then you can see how it sticks here, but it comes off relatively easy. Or you can take a kitchen brush as well, or a toothbrush, and just get in those grooves. Usually I just keep wetting it and rubbing it until it comes clean. So there you have it. This is sort of my little conversation on dip pens. I look forward to picking up some of the metal nibs next, and I'd like to give those a try and see how they compare with the glass dip pen. If you guys have used dip pens, or you like them, or have recommendations, let me know in the comments below, or any questions too. If there's any particular ink or brand you'd like me to try or look into, I'd definitely be open to that as well. It's really new to me, so I'm looking forward to exploring a little bit more. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you're notified the next time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching.